Challenging the strong black woman myth. The strong black woman myth has long been both a badge of honor and a burden. It praises black women for their resilience, independence, and unbreakable spirit, yet it also traps them in a cycle of silence and self-sacrifice. This stereotype, born out of centuries of survival in the face of racism, sexism, and inequality, has often forced black women to hide their pain and deny their humanity in order to be respected or taken seriously. To begin, let's talk about the origin of the myth. Historically, the image of the strong black woman emerged from necessity. Enslaved black women were expected to endure unimaginable labor, abuse, and loss while continuing to care for others, their children, their families, and even the children of their oppressors. After emancipation, this expectation evolved into a cultural archetype that celebrated toughness as a defining trait of black femininity. Society admired black women for their strength but ignored the suffering that made such strength essential. The hidden cost of always being strong. The myth carries a heavy emotional price. It teaches black women to suppress vulnerability, to carry the weight of their families and communities alone, and to view rest or self-care as weakness. Many are taught that showing pain or asking for help makes them less valuable, less respectable, or less strong. This internalized pressure contributes to burnout, mental health struggles, and even physical health disparities. Studies have shown that stress-related illnesses disproportionately affect black women, not because they are inherently less healthy, but because they are expected to be superhuman. Also, let's focus on the meaning of redefining strength. Challenging this myth doesn't mean rejecting strength altogether. It means redefining it. True strength lies not in silence, but in honesty, not in endurance, but in balance. It takes courage to say I am tired, I need help, or I deserve care. By embracing vulnerability, black women reclaim their full humanity. They remind the world that they are not machines built to endure pain, but living, feeling individuals who deserve rest, love, and softness. The role of community. To dismantle the myth, communities, including men, allies, and institutions, must share responsibility. Society must stop glorifying black women only when they sacrifice everything for others. Instead, it must value their joy, creativity, and peace as equally important. Black women supporting one another through open conversations about mental health, self-worth, and healing is a radical act of resistance. When one woman allows herself to be soft, she gives others permission to do the same. Let's continue talking about a new narrative. The future belongs to a new kind of strength, one that includes tenderness, authenticity, and balance. Black women are rewriting their stories to include rest without guilt, boundaries without apology, and vulnerability without shame. Being strong should never mean being broken in silence. Being powerful should never mean being alone. To challenge the strong black woman myth is to demand a world where black women are not celebrated for how much they can endure, but for how beautifully they can live. Now let's focus on the meaning of the psychological impact of the myth. The strong black woman ideal is often praised as a form of empowerment, but in reality, it can act as a psychological prison. From a young age, many black girls are taught to be strong, never cry, and handle it on your own. While these lessons were once meant to protect them in a hostile world, they can unintentionally create emotional walls that make it difficult to express vulnerability or seek help. This suppression often leads to what psychologists describe as emotional armor, a protective barrier that guards against pain but also blocks out comfort, connection, and healing. Over time, this armor becomes heavy. The woman behind it becomes exhausted, isolated, and misunderstood. Mental health discussions within the black community have historically been stigmatized, often framed as a sign of weakness or faithlessness. But more black women are now breaking this silence, speaking openly about therapy, depression, anxiety, and self-care. By doing so, they are dismantling the very systems that taught them to suppress emotion in the first place. Now let's talk about the strength through softness. True transformation happens when Black women redefine what it means to be strong. Strength can exist in softness, in the willingness to rest, to nurture oneself, to cry, to love openly, and to set boundaries. Being strong doesn't mean always showing up for everyone else, it means learning when to show up for yourself. It means recognizing that healing is not selfish, it's necessary. The new definition of strength embraces balance, the ability to lead and to lean, to give and to receive, to fight and to feel. As writer and activist Audre Lorde once said, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare." Every act of rest and self-love becomes a declaration of freedom against a system that profits from the exhaustion of Black women. Something else that is extremely important that we must also talk about is reclaiming the right to rest. In a world that has long demanded labor, care, and resilience from Black women without acknowledgement or reprieve, rest becomes revolutionary. Movements such as the NAP Ministry, founded by Tricia Hersey, emphasize rest as resistance, a spiritual and political act that challenges capitalist, racist, and patriarchal systems. By choosing rest, Black women are reclaiming their time, bodies, and peace. They are saying no to the narrative that their worth depends on constant productivity or suffering. This redefinition is vital not only for individual healing but also for generational change. When Black women model self-care, they teach their daughters and communities that peace is not a privilege, it's a right. The power of vulnerability and community healing. Healing from the strong Black woman myth cannot happen in isolation. It thrives in community, in shared spaces of trust, sisterhood, and love where women can be open about their struggles without judgment. In these spaces, laughter, storytelling, and collective care become tools of liberation. When Black women see one another cry, rest, or ask for help, it gives permission for others to do the same. Vulnerability becomes contagious, and that is how transformation begins. Something we must consider is the call for cultural shift. To truly challenge the myth, society must change the way it talks about and treats Black women. Institutions, from workplaces to healthcare systems, must recognize and respect their humanity. This means equitable pay, access to quality mental health resources, and dismantling biases that expect Black women to do more with less recognition. Media and popular culture must also play their part. Instead of portraying Black women as unbreakable, angry, or emotionless, they should highlight their tenderness, complexity, and joy. Representation must move beyond resilience to include softness, love, and leisure, because Black women deserve stories that reflect their wholeness, not just their endurance. A vision for redefining Black womanhood. Challenging the strong Black woman myth is part of a much larger journey, one that reimagines what it means to be a Black woman in today's world. It's not about abandoning strength, but about expanding its meaning. Strength is not only found in endurance, it lives in authenticity, balance, and the freedom to be fully human. The new vision of Black womanhood is multidimensional. It honors resilience but also values joy. It acknowledges pain but celebrates healing. It recognizes history but looks boldly toward the future. In this vision, a Black woman's worth is not tied to how much she can carry, but to how truthfully she can live. Black women are no longer defined by the limitations others place on them. They are artists, scientists, mothers, innovators, dreamers, and healers. They are rewriting what femininity, leadership, and love look like. They are showing the world that power can be gentle, that beauty can be unapologetically natural, and that freedom begins within. Now let's delve deeper by focusing on intergenerational healing. Breaking this myth is also about healing across generations. For too long, grandmothers and mothers carried burdens they could never name. Their silence was often an act of love, a way to protect their children from pain. But that silence, passed down through generations, became a cycle of emotional restraint. Today, more daughters and granddaughters are choosing to speak, to name the pain, to attend therapy, to rest, to breathe. By doing so, they honor their ancestors not by repeating their suffering, but by freeing themselves from it. Intergenerational healing means saying, I see the sacrifices you made, and I choose to heal in your name. This is not rebellion, it is evolution. It's how love transforms from endurance into liberation. One thing we cannot forget in this analysis is to comment on the role of men and allies. To dismantle the strong black woman myth, the responsibility cannot fall on black women alone. Men, especially within the black community, must also challenge the expectations they place on women to always be caretakers, to always be okay. Real love and partnership mean creating space for vulnerability, emotional expression, and shared responsibility. Allies outside the community must also confront the ways in which society benefits from this myth, in workplaces, media, and institutions that depend on black women's labor and emotional strength without offering adequate support. Recognizing and respecting their humanity must become a collective duty, not a request. Finally, let's talk about celebrating wholeness. The ultimate goal is wholeness, a life in which black women can exist freely without the pressure to perform strength at all times. Wholeness means being able to laugh, cry, rest, create, fail, and rise again without judgment. It means being valued not for being invincible, but for being real. When the myth of the strong black woman is dismantled, what remains is not weakness, but truth, a truth that allows black women to live expansively, with tenderness and purpose. The world gains, too, because when black women thrive, communities, families, and nations grow stronger and more compassionate. Conclusion: toward a future of freedom. Challenging the strong black woman myth is more than a cultural shift, it is an act of liberation. It demands that we all rethink what strength truly means, and who gets to define it. It calls for a future where black women's wellness, rest, and self-expression are not radical, but normal. The reshaping of this narrative begins with one courageous act, the decision to no longer carry everything alone. Every time a black woman rests without guilt, asks for help, speaks her truth, or chooses peace, she is rewriting history. Because real strength isn't about never breaking, it's about having the freedom to heal, rebuild, and rise again on your own terms.